guess we're just going to go in order of age to beauty. Beautiful. Okay. So I guess I just want to say final cup. And because what I have most recently been doing is looking at economies. I know that sounds horrible. That's why I don't want to do it either. But more of you know, my father had come to me and said, "Honey, you got the background. Come on, let's see some stuff." So I have been doing this actually for a few years. And I want you all to say very loudly and in a voice that shows conviction, "We are ready."
We are ready.
Hanaho.
We are ready.
Okay? Now, my hotel and my point out, do not forget that. Because the next time, we are moving forward. The next time someone tells you, "Hey, well, here's your nation," what are we going to say? We are ready. Okay? Because the one thing that they use to bind us and to hold us in our place is, "Oh, you guys don't know about economies," right? They speak a foreign language. You know what? That's not a foreign language to us. I sincerely believe with all my heart that we are ready. We are ready to take over this. Let's put it this way. We can do a way better job than they have been doing to this point in time. Don't you think? So, you know, at the time of the overthrow, our kingdom and our government was very progressive. We know this. We know that history. All of you know about that. You know about the electricity in the Yolani Palace. We were ahead of our time as a nation. The literacy, right? 8 years or so to get everyone in the nation to become the most literate nation in the world. I mean, we know that we can accomplish those things, and through the leadership of our Li'i, we accomplished so many progressive ideas, objectives, goals. So what I've been doing is really working on looking at this, what I call the Pulukeke syndrome, which is we need tourism. We need the military. You know what? Let's just peel that out of our brain and start to think a little bit more creatively, which will really scare them. We don't need tourism. We don't even need the military. You know, we need the land that the military is occupying, absolutely, because we can take that land and we can make agriculture. We can grow lo'i. We can grow kau in our lo'i. We can have an entire nation be sustainable without having to wait for the boat to arrive so that we can pay the tax or the Jones Act, pay for these goods to come in and feed us. You know, I started looking up some things. Of course, I've been doing this. And I have tons of stuff, so this is really hard, so I'll try to really condense it. But for example, under this oppressed environment, you know, we have the 2013 Tax Foundation. We paid 38 cents for every dollar we made. 38 cents for every dollar we made. So we would have to revamp our tax system. I'm happy to lead revamping our tax system. We have the intellectual capital to be able to do that. Everyone in here, I know many of you, you are Akamai people. Let's not let them convince us that we are not ready, because we are ready. You know, for example, if we take that 38 cents of a dollar and we extrapolate it to an amount of income you could make per year. Let's say you make $43,000 a year. Okay, that means you pay to the state and the feds $16,000 of that. That means you keep $27,000. Okay, you made $43,000 and you're keeping $27,000. There's something wrong with that picture. Okay, during the kingdom time, tax was minimal. Okay, I also think, you know, when I put that forward, and I'm not just being silly and saying we don't need tourism and we don't need the military. I firmly believe we don't, because our opportunities here in the islands are endless. I see over there, Malama Ka'aina, GMO-free Maui. Hey, GMO Hawaii Ka'aina. If we have GMO-free, all of these items, and we only grow organic, we'll become the organic capital of the world. Organic food is a market that is untapped, that people are willing to pay for. This is an opportunity for us as Hawaiians to participate in this marketplace and to make money or make wealth for our existence, for our sustainability. You know, as Hawaiians, our ancestors we know how intelligent they were with the local i'a, right? It didn't deplete our fisheries, you know, it was so smart. Scientifically, now the scientists are coming and looking, right? Oh, look at this local i'a. Well, we'll make just a fake fish farm that's dirty and pollutes the ocean, and it's out there and it's the size of a football field. That's always their mentality, yeah? Bigger is better. We know better. We know better, right? We can go ahead and we can go, and where it's viable, put in new local i'a and start our fish farming all over again in a good way by forcing us to take a look at our values and infusing our values into our economic decisions. We are going to make a ton of decisions that are so much better for our people and for us that have been made over the last 100-something years, you know, under this prolonged occupation. And then, you know, I have like tons of ideas that I was writing out, that I was just thinking about what we need to do. And I'll end here so I can leave my sisters with some time. You know, we'll need to make some tough decisions, you know, especially, for example, regarding migration to Hawaii, okay? We're going to need to make some very tough decisions about that. But, you know, we'll need to make those decisions, and we can do it. Our ancestors were not afraid of learning. Just because we may not know everything about economy or business, doesn't mean we say, no, not now, we're not ready. We say, no, bring it, and we will learn. And if we don't know, we know to find those resources that can teach us. So it's not going to be easy, but anything worth having is not easy. The birth of a child, ask any wahine that has given birth, not easy, but the child is blessed, right? That's blessing, right? You get your degree, that's not easy, but that degree is going to help you move on, okay? I don't know, I feel like, you know, making a canoe, if we take it, you know, that far to our practitioners, making a canoe is not easy, right? But it's worth investing our time and our intellect, learning how to do it and doing it. I really, I believe that we have the power and the ability to take those steps to become self-sufficient. We can not only be sustainable, but we can really, really embrace the idea of inviting, and I'm not talking capital dollar rich, I'm talking about ho'oulu. You know, I'm talking about really, really lifting our nation up without not one poor person, everybody having food. We have the capability to do that. Our problem has been that we are not given the ability to do that we have not been sitting at the table. We need to get America out of here. Look around and you see the desecration, you see the island, you see the pollution, you see the toxins, and all the while they're telling us, if we leave, you're not going to have a hotel. Oh no, where am I going to work? Plenty jobs in the Hawaiian nation. More than I can even think of. Okay, more than I can even talk to you about at this point in time. So again, okay, we're going to say, we are ready, right, the next time. We have a new consciousness. We're not going to believe the pulukeke that they have been feeding us forever. Can I do this? Can I do that? No job. Also, we need a tourist. Make sure you smile and say hi when you see them. We are ready. We can take our nation and we can run with it. We can make it the most fabulous nation in the world. That's what I'm working for. Mahalo.
So not only to, again, build off of what Manu said, not only I think do we not need tourism and militarism, and Terry talked about, but we've become put in a very dangerous kind of position, being and allowing ourselves to be dependent on these kind of industries. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of years is this phenomenon that is called peak oil. And so some of you may have heard about this, but peak oil is basically an idea that was, a historical and geological fact that was coined, the term was coined by a petroleum geologist for shale oil, who basically says that when half of the oil stores in any field are gone, it becomes that much more difficult, dangerous, expensive to get that oil out of the ground. And so you hit this peak of production, and then it slowly begins to decline. Well, if we think about this in relation to the U.S. occupation of Hawaii, the U.S. occupation of Hawaii has exactly corresponded to the U.S.'s ability to exploit cheap oil stores both on the continent that it itself occupies, the lands of Native nations. And on those lands, peak oil was hit on the U.S. continent about 30 years ago. And so this is, of course, why the U.S. has had to expand its wars into the exploitation and the securing of its oil interests in the Middle East and elsewhere. So this really impacts us greatly because being in this wonderful place where we are, but also being incredibly dependent on now transnational, our global corporate economy for pretty much all of our needs. Everything that we use on a day-to-day basis, toothpaste, beer, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, how we get from place to place, the cell phones, our drinking water, everything is dependent on fossil fuels. And we have now, as a planet, passed that peak of the natural stores of the Earth's oil. And so what does that mean for us? I think it can be seen as, many people kind of see it as this possible sort of apocalyptic scenario, but I think for us in Hawaii, it's also a really wonderful opportunity because it allows us to think back to the cultural traditions that we have been nurturing and revitalizing over the last 30, 40 years, not only for their spiritual and cultural meaning, but for their practical significance. So, we have been able to restore, since the 1970s, our ability to traverse the oceans with wind power. That's huge. We don't necessarily need to, if we can really invest in that, be dependent anymore upon petroleum-fueled boats, right? And in other parts of the Pacific, I think there are peoples and nations who are already doing this on a larger extent than we are, using their traditional canoes not only for that cultural meaning, but also for their practical usage in transporting people, in transporting goods, and those kinds of things. We've also become incredibly dependent as far as our food system. So much of our food is imported from outside. Again, the GMO-free movement is, a wonderful challenge to the corporate power and control over what we eat. Not only the transportation of our food, but all the inputs, the pesticides, the fertilizers. The connection to militarism is a direct connection. Synthetic pesticides and fertilizers were directly developed and derived from chemical weapons. So we're actually allowing that kind of, death-causing agents to be put on food. So I think, this is a really wonderful opportunity for us to really shift this system that we've become dependent on, and to think about how, now that we know, for those of us, most of us in the room,